Yes. I was going to apologize to Shazad now, but now I'm not. It's okay, isn't it? So, do we have permission? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا اللهم أعني على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك يا رب الكريم. So folks, so today it's good because not only do we start the text, but it's come in early enough. I had a feeling that we could be hanging around on the introduction for like months as opposed to weeks. So actually we kind of rushed it so that it only lasts 4 weeks. SubhanAllah, without any exaggeration, we could have spent the content of last week's dars, just the content of that, and the week before, that could have been very easily spread out over another 4 extra weeks, definitely. I was only really focusing on Sheikh Uthaymeen's piece. I didn't really involve some of the fiqh of Ibn Qudama and some of his statements. I didn't include some of the comments of Sheikh Muhammad al-Mukhtar al-Shanqiti, hafidhahullah ta'ala. And so, we just kind of, because we wanted to start the text, we wanted to get involved. And also there's another important reason why I wanted to get in, is because everyone needed to see actually what the class really is. At this moment in time, I'm telling you, you have no idea what the class actually is. So far it's been a lecture, now 4 lectures with a little bit of interplay and a bit of joking here and there, but that's all it's been. It's just been one-way traffic. And the idea of this class is to be a normal class and for you to be normal students. And this is interesting. Have you guys ever heard my my theory on teaching style? Hanafi versus Maliki. Abu Hanifa versus Imam Malik. Ever heard that? So I've got this idea. Actually, one of my shaykh told me this, and I believe him because I've seen it in my life. So I think that when it comes to teaching, obviously there was teachers before the Muslim teachers. I mean, teaching's been going on for years. But from an Islamic point of view, you can take teaching styles back to 2 imams, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayh and Imam Malik ibn Anas rahmatullahi alayh. So I call it the Malik style and the Abu Hanifa style. Now, the Abu Hanifa style, let's do the Malik style first. Malik style is I can best describe it as very strict, very to the point, no fluffing about, no one puts their hand up, no comments are entertained, no chatting, no nothing. You are spoken to, you're not given text, you're not given help, you're just narrated to, bang, 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 this is the issue, and that's it. If you're lucky, there will be a defined, very controlled Q&A at the end via senior students, the senior imams themselves who are vetting the questions and regulating the discussion. It's very strict. Now, you will all have teachers like that. Even in your secular studies, I'm sure you'll come across those that don't like to be interrupted, hands mean nothing to them and so on. And I certainly have had my fair share. The one that impacts upon me most is back in the 90s when I started studying with Sheikh Abdullah al-Juda', who's a scholar in hadith and he's local to here. And subhanAllah, back from then in the 90s until maybe, a few years back, which was the last time I took a class with him, exactly the same. Hasn't changed one little bit. And that's his system. He doesn't like it, and he'll even tell you. He'll say, be quiet. And at the end, no fluffing about. He doesn't like his flow to be broken. So that's like one style. The other style is Abu Hanifa style. Now it's very interesting. Actually, the style of Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi is clear because of just the names of his students. They're not even called students. Isn't that interesting? So he's not known by his students. They're called his, anyone? Ashab, right? His companions. So when you look at Imam Muhammad, when you look at Qadi Abu Yusuf, when you look at Imam Zufar, you see these 3 key imams, mujtahideen. They are of the highest possible quality of scholar, those that are quite worthy of giving ijtihad and having their own madhab. Indeed, it can be argued that they have their own madhahib, and if you study their books of their ahkam and their fatawa, you will actually see how they differ with their sheikh, with their teacher. But they're still not called his students, although blatantly of course they are. But they're called his companions because the way Abu Hanifa used to teach was, right guys, here's the issue today. What are you saying? What do you say? And so my man speaks up, puts his idea forward. He goes, yeah, sounds good. What about this? We thought about that. The other one goes, okay, what about this? Chat, refute, chat, talk, back, forth, talk. And it's a much more involved process of learning. The others get involved. Obviously, it's being conducted at a certain high level, but it's much more interactive. Okay? Now, I think it's pretty clear. I love that approach. It's how I studied, it's how I learned my religion. All right? And my main teacher of all these years, Sheikh Ihlan, that is his system. That is the way that he taught me. And I back starting in the 90s until now, whenever we see, it's what do you think? Have your go, and then you make your statement, and then back and forth. Because Sheikh is more interested in developing people. He's more interested in developing people and creating future leaders and people. And the most biggest thing, the biggest reason, wallah, he's obsessed with one thing, Sheikh Ihlan. He wants people to think for themselves. That's the one thing that he taught me. And that's the reason we're studying this text, and that's the reason we're studying this kind of commentary and not a commentary, because I told you before in the introduction that Zad al-Mustaqni' has much more authoritative and much more Hanbali and authentic commentaries. Rawd al-Murbi', as we said, okay, is the top one. But the reason we're not using that is because what Shaykh Uthaymeen does, and this is why our Shaykh always used to like Shaykh Uthaymeen, and I like Shaykh Uthaymeen so much, is that he does the same. He also wants you to think. He doesn't care whether you take his opinion or not, but he wants you to think for yourself. He wants you to bring fiqh to life. And of course, there is an associated side effect, because once you bring what you study to life, you start to bring the religion to life in yourself. And so the religion itself doesn't become this kind of difficult, stressful experience. And so some of the most boring topics can become quite interesting and quite exciting. And it allows you to express yourself as long as you know your boundaries. You have to know your boundaries and your limits. Because as we mentioned in the first two lessons, there is a danger to this approach. You can start going crazy. You can start going ahead of yourself and thinking that you're something special when you're not. You think you're authorized to discuss and criticize people when you're not. So it is a skill. And what will be interesting is how we show the requisite adab to the scholars when we discuss their opinions. We're not worthy of being the dirt underneath their shoes. When we're going to say, Abu Hanifa said this, but we prefer the statement of Malik. Who am I to say that I prefer something over Abu Hanifa? Abu Hanifa is a mountain. He's the Mount Everest of fiqh. There's nothing above Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi in fiqh. So how can I say that? I can say that not because I'm bigger. I can say that because I have Imam Malik and Imam Shafi'i and Imam Ahmed who have differed with him and given their evidences. It's not me. It's not Shaykh Uthaymeen. It's not Ibn Taymiyyah. It's not individuals. The issue is about the evidences. The issue is about reflection. As long as we keep within the boundaries. So we're going to definitely adopt this system. And in fact, anyone who's taken any class with me, as you know, in the Al-Maghrib classes, and we used to study here as well before, you will know that's my way. I like to keep it open, break it, and so on. And so now you don't feel uncomfortable interrupting. Interrupting with the hand, that's fine. But you have a question, you didn't hear something, this is what it's about now. Now the flow is broken. What you saw in the first four was just quality lecture, bang, 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 everyone's just listening. Now it's a class. Now you're in the text. We're going to say, right, guys, where's that page? We're going to look in this book, right? Who's got a dictionary? Check this up. Who's got internet connection? Check this definition. What's the word? We're now going to mix it up. And you have to get used to it, because this is how the class will now slow down. Is that cool, folks? Yeah? So this is how it's going to be. So let's start. Yeah? Let's start. You have the new set of notes, which little bit different from the first part. Okay? So this is the notes I'm talking about. Shazad will put the notes on the screen, the first line for you, for those who are online. And for you guys, you should all have received this on the forum or on email. And as I said, it's going to start moving to the forum permanently now. And I've called this second set, Class Notes 2, I've called it the Book of Purification, even though, my brothers and sisters, the next 4 or 5 sets of notes are all still the Book of Purification, because it's the overarching chapter, the big chapter. The next ones are going to be by subsection. Now this is a little bit different from the first one in that I didn't mess about with the first one. I just left it exactly as the American translator had translated it. This one I edited quite heavily, so this is now no longer his translation per se. I've changed quite a bit, and that's just a point of reference for you in case you have access to the original. You see it's quite different, and I'll explain why. So let's jump into that. So it starts Kitab al-Tahara, the book of purification. So before we move on to the first line, Shaykh Uthaymeen, he wants to spend some time and explain to you what is the system of fiqh when you open up something in this way by using the word book. Why do you use the word kitab? So on page 25, he says قوله kitab فعال بمعنى مفعول. So those who study Arabic, now remember, everyone's on different levels here in this class, yeah? So those who have absolutely no idea and you're just kind of like, hanging on and just here for the ride, and just keep hanging on, inshallah. And we'll try and keep, reiterating points and making them easy. And those who are studied fiqh before, those who are starting to study Arabic, a little bit of, haza huwa, blah, blah, pulled out of class after 3 weeks, that kind of person, yeah? Then you got those who are advanced, and then you got those who are, scholars or tulab al-ilm in your own right. Now, when we say fi'al bima'na maf'ul, what he's talking about is the wazn. I can't stand Arabic myself, so I've got no idea I don't even have to translate wazn. What do they translate wazn in Arabic studies as?
Weight.
The weight, of course, is weight you pack, but I mean, what's in grammar, what is it?
They say form.
Form. They say form? Good. So, Arabic verbs, they take differing forms, okay? And you have a number of forms, the straightforward 8 forms, but then there are added extra ones as well as part of the kind of the rare peculiarities of the Arabic language. So fa'ala, 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 af'ala, tafa'ala, this is kind of thing if you're studying Arabic. So these are the verbal forms, but also the nouns themselves take forms as well. And so one verb or one way is fi'al. Fi'al is the form, and so if you replace fa'ala, which is fi'al, with kataba, it becomes kitab. Yes, do you understand that at the very basic level? It's like a pattern. So you get the template is fi'al, and once you've got that template, you can put any verb, Arabic verb on, and you can then make the corresponding version. So this word kitab comes from kataba, which means to write. But put it into the form of fi'al, it turns into kitab. What does fi'al mean? Fi'al means maf'ul. What does maf'ul mean? It means that which the action has been done to. Maf'ul, all right, is a general meaning. Anything which, so when we said daraba, all right, daraba means to slap, yeah, to beat, right? So if I am the darib, I am the one who hits or beats, and I did daraba, which is the action, and the miskin who gets slapped down, he's called the madroob. He's called the madroob because it fits the pattern of fa'ul or maf'ul. Sorry, yeah, it fits the pattern of maf'ul. So this is the way that you understand the pattern. So kataba, the kitab is meaning maktub, i.e. that which is written. So whenever you see the word kitab, it is referring to by meaning that which is written about a subject. Okay? When you see the word kitab, it means that which is written about a subject. And therefore that's why he say هذا مكتوب في الطهارة. والطهارة. And now we need to define the word طهارة. I think same in Urdu, right? طهارة? Taharat, yeah? Yeah, taharat is there in Urdu, so you'll know that. And by linguistically, Sheikh said it is nadafa. Nadafa means cleanliness, okay? Nadafa means cleanliness. When we say something's clean, we say nadif. Sah, nadif? Except that the Paks call him nazif, because Paks don't know how to say dha, and they just turn it into z, so it's nazif, and whatever other version you have. So, what does tahara mean in linguistic terms? It means cleanliness. Except that linguistically is not good enough. Remember what we said in the first opening lessons. When you study fiqh, there is a very clear and orderly fashion in how you study fiqh. What you have to do is to understand the word that you're about to look at, and then understand its linguistic meaning, and then give it its technical meaning, its actual technical meaning. That's why Shaykh says at the beginning of page 25, he says, وَالطَّهَارَةُ لُغَةً. In the language, linguistically, it means cleanliness. Lakin in the shara, in sharia, technically speaking, Islamically speaking, it is used in 2 places. It has 2 basic meanings. And the first is the most important. All right? Now, this is fiqh. This is law. This is not meant to be life-changing. tear jerking, heartstring pulling, and make you kind of, scream and cry your eyes out, right? Like we do when Sheikh Abdul Ghaffar recites for us nicely. Although recently, I don't know, the guy's been off his game, I don't know what's happening. But khair, inshallah, I heard he's going to make a comeback tomorrow in Salatul Fajr, inshallah al-Aziz. But, this is fiqh, this is law, this is learning the do's and the don'ts, and there are 6 conditions, and there are 32 sunan, and da. So it can be quite dry, and we shouldn't be ashamed about that, alright? That's the way it is. And so don't expect to be hearing lots of kind of spiritual benefits and things. We'll try our very best. We will wring this beast like a whatever. Whenever we can find any kind of softness or some kind of happiness, we will find it. Inshallah, we'll even make it up if we have to. Right? That's why we keep chucking in the Liverpool jokes, just to try and create something out of nothing almost. Right? Now here I want to say to you that when the subject is so jamid, so dry and so on, whenever we get an opportunity, we'll use it. And here is us grabbing an opportunity. Tahara, purification. We don't talk about now here about we should pure ourselves for Allah and we should purify ourselves according to the way of the Prophet ﷺ. Because when books of fiqh are written, they're written for people who it's already assumed that they're doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that they're following the sunnah, and that they are practicing Muslims. You understand what I'm trying to say? That's already assumed. It can't waste time on that. Still, Shaykh Uthaymeen, he says the first type of purification is a spiritual purification. It's a spiritual purification. And for example, he says, وَطَهَارَةُ الْقَلْبِ مِنَ الشِّرْكِ فِي عِبَادَةِ اللَّهِ. He goes, it is the purification of the heart from worshipping other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not just this, it's the purification of the heart from jealousy, from envy, from hate, from every kind, from anger, from excessive love of materialism. All of these things which, if they exist in the heart of a person, they can reach such a damaging level that the person loses his Islam and his Iman completely. Therefore, the purification of the body doesn't matter one little bit. Classic example are non-Muslims. Non-Muslims are a classic example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah At-Tawbah, where He says, إِنَّمَا الْمُشْرِكُونَ نَجَسٌ. Okay, Allah says that those who take partners other than Allah, those who take partners other than Allah, those who want to direct their love and their worship and their respect, which is deserving only to Allah, and they then direct it to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are seriously unclean, are very unclean, are filthy, are impure. Now, what does this mean? Does it mean that they're like dirty? Like they're filthy, impure. But you touch them, then you're going to get the, what did they used to call it in the school playground when we used to touch them? Pure touch.
Sometimes called cheese touch.
Cheese touch.
Sometimes.
Yeah, times have changed, man. I think we used to call it crabs or something, isn't it? What do we used to call it? Scoobies, boogies, cooies, lurgies. Something like that. Yeah, some kind of diss phrase, that you touch it. Yeah. Right. So that's what we used to say back in the day, right? Now, does that mean that's the case? There's no way that any gora is dirtier than a pak. Absolutely no way. I'm telling you now, gore, they're the ones. When you go into a house, I don't know, you guys obviously all paks living in your ghettos, yeah. But when we were young, we used to live with the gore within their areas. We used to go into their house. The first thing we used to see is how nice it smells. No silent smell, no stink, no whatever, carpets all fresh, whatever. And they don't even take the shoes off, subhanAllah. How amazing is that, right? And the houses are so clean. They are shower every morning, shower every afternoon. Us lot, we used to shower once a week, yeah? Right? That was system. Jum'ah was the day we had a bath. That's what they do in Somalia every day, isn't it? No? Sheikhna? Is that not the Somali way? So I mean, and I remember when I used to travel and I come across cultures without any exaggeration, despite us being the people of water and all the rest of it, yeah, ablution and wudu, blah 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 blah. We stink more than the average kind of person. Haqiqatan, I can, as a person who prays with the Muslims, I can easily say that I've smelt more bad smelling Muslims than I've got it. Yeah, and they go mad on all their, shower gels and this and that, whatever. When did we, when did we ever see a shower gel? We never knew what a shower gel was until a couple of years ago. Yeah? Back, we used to be lucky to have like a little bit of soap and rub ourselves with it. Anyway, so it says clearly not referring to them physically. The mushrikeen are not dirty physically. This is of course referring to their belief, their i'tiqad, their creed. It's completely filthy. It's as filthy as it gets. It's as dark as it gets. It's as it is. And here's very interesting, the use of the word of color. The word black, right, in Quran. It's very interesting because a lot of people who are not very strong in the iman, don't study Quran well, they don't have this understanding about the word white and black. They always kind of think of white and black in a racial sense. Okay. Now, obviously, these are politically correct. To be politically correct, you don't even use these words in discourse. But in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses black for bad, white for good, black for dirt, white for clean. In the Sunnah, it's generally understood. And you need to understand that's something completely removed from the actual skin color or maybe the color of something, an object. Rather, it's talking about lack of light and the awareness of light. White is convenient in that it reflects light and is bright, and black is that convenient color of darkness. And so if a heart is black, and the Prophet ﷺ said that the heart would go black, and the white spots are the remaining alive parts, he used the color. The heart, when it gets sealed, what's it getting sealed from? It's getting sealed from the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and guidance. So when something is sealed with a ran, as Allah mentions in the Quran, and so many different coverings and seals, then there's no light going in. And so therefore, inside is very, very dark and it's black. And of course, Luqman, he said about shirk, what did he say? That it is a dhulmun azim. It is a huge, huge dhulm. And dhulm means oppression. And of course, the word for dhulm is also meaning darkness. Alright? When we say in the dhulma, meaning that in the darkness, dhulm is dark. Oppression is dark. You know? Right? And guidance and happiness is light. And the Prophet ﷺ and his way is light. And it's very interesting to understand these, to divorce black and white from their racial undertone and to understand it from a point of view of guidance and lack of guidance, oppression and justice, and so on and so forth. So that's important. So tahara is as an asl, in principle, it's a spiritual condition, and therefore it's very important for you to understand that you're here now studying this, and it's great, right? But if you are not concentrating on the amrad qalbiyah, the diseases of the heart, and purifying your heart from that on a daily basis, all the time, and that is done like all the time. You're seeing different things, you're seeing some of the miracles of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will say subhanallah, you will say astaghfirullah. These are adhkar, and this dhikr cleans the heart, and that's how it's very, very important that you focus on that as your number one thing. That's the asl, the Shaykh says. Here's an important discussion. This is usuli terms, scholarly terms for the principles behind fiqh. Asl, fara, usul, furu'. The asl is the trunk, the root, the trunk, the main, the asl, the base. That's what the asl is. And what we call in legal terms the primary, right? And then the secondary is then the fara or the furu', which is the branches. If you imagine it like a tree, it's nice and easy. So the original key issue is the root and the trunk, and then the secondary matters are then what branch off. And so obviously, in terms of importance, the branches and the twigs and the leaves are never as important as the original trunk. So that's why you have the asl and the fara. So what is it actually? What is purification in day-to-day terms? It is the actual purification that we all understand, cleanliness. Okay, and in fact, I'll tell you what Sheikh Muhammad al-Mukhtar al-Shanqiti, he says it is the cleanliness and the removal of anything dirty from oneself or one place. That is purification. Okay, that is purification. And I want you just to touch upon something here. We said cleanliness, right, at the beginning. Cleanliness is not the same as purification. We mustn't be, when we're studying fiqh, we can't be lazy. Now I'm just aware to that. But if you hear me be lazy in words, you should say straight away, hold on, are you sure? Because you can't be lazy when you're teaching fiqh. You've got to be on it all the time. Normally every day of the week we'd say cleanliness and purification are the same thing. What's the difference? But something which is clean is not necessarily pure. Does that make sense? Yeah? They can't, it doesn't have to be, who can think of a good example? Because I can't. An immediate example? Yeah?
Something like tea.
Tea.
Like it's water, but it's not. It's clean, I guess, but it's not.
Certain.
Okay, is there anything easier? Dust. Now, see, dust is the perfect example, but it's too good an example because it's an example which you would not have worked out by yourself. No, I don't mean you personally. I'm meaning you as a human, right? This what do I mean by that? Ali is saying that dust, yeah, dust is not clean according to the cultural understanding of what clean means, but it purifies and it's pure. Now, if Allah had never told you that, would you ever thought that?
No.
Never. Yeah, it's not yani shay hissi, as we say. It's not something that you can assume. So that's the perfect example, but that's not something I want. Any, yeah?
How about something like soap or
Soap.
it's clean but it's mixed with chemicals, so it's not pure in a sense. It's got different elements inside.
That's a very good example. That's a very good technical example. Certain soaps are actual, yani completely unsavory and non-pure chemicals. But when it comes to cleaning, it will clean something like to the max. Yeah, it will clean something so much that it will start to take away like layers and layers and layers and layers. It will over clean. So that's good. That's the way that we want to think about it. So that's fine. Then the Shaykh, now we know what Kitab al-Tahara means. Now, I forgot, I've got to give an apology, subhanAllah, to Shazad. Shazadi, he said to me, I have to apologize publicly because I did his bestie publicly. I said last week that he'd gone to the next sale in Manchester, it didn't have enough sales for him, so he went to the one in London, isn't it? Yeah? Right? Actually, Shazada, he didn't go to the next sale. He went to Slough to buy dresses and things like that. I think they're cheaper over there in Slough. He didn't go to the next sale, so I just wanted to say that. Which is also a reminder, you can bring up the thing, because I'm going to forget, so I'm going to say this right now. I wanted to say that so far, obviously, there's been ups and downs in the technical aspects of this class. Obviously, you guys have seen no problems, but online, there's so many people logging on at the same time that we had for the last few weeks this whole kind of, nonsense at the beginning. People weren't signing in and couldn't sign in and so on. So I just wanted to say that there has been a struggle, and we do need some help. Definitely. Now, nowadays is either very high quality volunteers or you got to pay good money for it. So from a money point of view, I put up the donations box, and I was one who wrote that text in that donations box, and I did say to you that it's a big ugly box that's taking a third of the entire page, and I'm going to get rid of it after a couple of weeks, and it's a good opportunity for you because I think it's a good project to support with donations. I want to say that Jazakumullah khair, everyone, some incredibly generous people gave good money and donations, and because of those donations, we've been able to move forward and hire some pretty expensive people to go and fix this issue that we've had. The donations box is coming down because I'm glad that we got that covered, and there is no now big cost I need to worry about. But what the cost that I do have to worry about are some ongoing costs. And so if there are any people out there online or here that are willing to support us from a standing order point of view, I would be very grateful for that. The brothers would be grateful for that. And the email is donations@propheticguidance.co.uk. It's on your screen at the moment, and it'll be on the video as well when you see it again. Just email and say, yep, I can do £1 a month, I can do £5 a month, I can do whatever. Just a few people. We just need to get a critical number that can continue and pay for some of the services. But the real focus that I need is the experts, some specialists in certain areas. Now, these experts and specialists are required to basically save us money in the areas that we're struggling in. For example, a graphic designer, a motion graphic designer, a WordPress developer, a vBulletin developer, a PHP or MySQL developer, a Linux server specialist. These are the various kind of roles that we're really looking for some help from. If you can volunteer your time, if you can, someone or you're willing to, and we did give a shout out, and not many people kind of really got back to us, in fairness, or didn't get back to us in quick time. And I have to say that we do work to a high standard. So if you can help, then please info
admin.lp.
admin, so email admin.lp@propheticguidance.co.uk. Again, the email addresses are on the thingy. So anyway, I just wanted to thank everyone who supported us. I wanted to thank my team, because obviously I get a lot of credit for this myself. You know, I'm the public face and I'm the one teaching, and everyone hears something and I'm the one who gets all the credit. And the truth be told, it's about the team. It really is about, I know it's a cliche. It's a team game, it's a team sport. And there's no I in team, as they say, صح? But if you do muddle the words about, there is a me in there somewhere, yani. Yeah? And if you muddle it a bit more, there's an AE in there as well. Come on, Bobs, Yara. Come on, you can't script things like that, Yara. You tell me that's not quality line. Alright then. Take it then. Okay, so Jazakumullah khair everyone. Right, let's jump into the first text. He says then, وَهِيَ إِرْتِفَاعُ الْحَدَثِ. So if we look at our notes, then this is the first line. وَهِيَ إِرْتِفَاعُ الْحَدَثِ مَا فِي مَعْنَاهُ وَالزَّوَالُ الْخَبَثِ. Purification is lifting ritual impurity or matters similar to it and removing filth. Okay, so we have a first part and then a second part. Purification is lifting ritual impurity or matters similar to it and removing filth. Now obviously in this translation, it's not a word for word translation, because if you look at the Arabic, it says wahiya, and she is. Okay, and she is what would that be referring to? She is it is, and it is referring to tahara. And for those who are studying Arabic, when you see the feminine being used here, immediately you should think, right, I need to go back to the last feminine word which is being used. And when you go back and you see there's only two words there, kitab and tahara. Kitab isn't the case. Tahara, easily, immediately recognizable. It's a feminine word. It's got the ta marbuta at the end, and you know straight away that it's a feminine word. So therefore the hiya is referring to it. So in purification, so in translation, we're not going to go through and it is, because it's clear. It is referring to purification. And purification has been defined as two aspects. Number one, the lifting of ritual impurity. Let's just focus on that for now, okay? Lifting ritual impurity. What is ritual impurity? The word in Arabic, hadath. All right, the word in Arabic, hadath. What does Sheikh Uthaymeen says? I'll tell you what Sheikh Uthaymeen says. He says something which honestly is quite a poor way of putting it if you compare it to some of the other scholars. So let me tell you what Sheikh Muhammad al-Mukhtar al-Shanqiti said. He said, وَعَرَّفَ بَعْضُهُم. He said, some of the scholars, they said, it is صفة حكمية توجب لموصوفها جواز استباحة الصلاة به أو فيه أو له. يعني, it is a صفة. It is a reality, or it is a characteristic, okay, that when it is found in something or in someone, obviously because we're talking about a person here, when it is found in someone, it will block the permissibility of praying. So prayer is what is being used as the yardstick, i.e. hadath, ritual impurity. If I'm just going to give it in like my own definition, it's anything which is going to block you praying. Okay? From a purification point of view. It is that ritual impurity that's going to block you praying. Is that clear, everybody? All right? And once we start giving the examples, it will become a lot more clear. Now, let's give what Sheikh Uthaymeen says. He goes right at the bottom of page 25. He goes, for example. And you know what? You need to know why is it that, I mean, I didn't discuss this, but you should know. Why is it that we start talking about purification? Right? Because this is law. And in law, we're describing about how to and how not to worship Allah, ibadah. And the very first most action in ibadah is? The first most and most emphasized and best action in ibadah is? Salah. Okay? Salah. Without any doubt. And because salah you can't pray without fulfilling the conditions, we need to know what the conditions are. And so therefore we find out that the conditions from the conditions is purification. And purification itself is a process. So we need to know how to purify. And so because we need to now define how we purify, the first thing that we know that we is used to purify is water. That is why all the books of fiqh, they focus on opening with water, discussing it, debating it, making it clear in the minds of everyone what exactly water is. Okay, so let's just stick to what the issue of hadith is, ritual impurity. He says, an example, there's a man, he urinates and then he does istinja. Istinja means he cleans, he washes his private parts. Then he makes wudu, ثم توضأ. Now he says, when he is urinating, he's not able to pray, because he's not in a state that it's permissible for him to pray. But when he finishes wudu, then the state of ritual impurity, the hadith, the state. So remember, hadith is not a physical thing. It's not like, someone has put some dirt on you. It's a state. Yes, that's why they use the word ritual. This is a translated term, by the way, ritual. We put it into the reason we should just say impurity, or we should just say blockage to salah. If we said blockage to salah, it wouldn't make sense. If we said impurity, people would think dirt. We add the ritual to kind of make it clear to you that we're talking about something which you can't see. It's just, here I am, I went to the toilet. Now, just think about this. I could go to the toilet. Now, I could clean myself or not clean myself. I could use a number of chemicals in today's time, and I could come out from going to the toilet 100 times cleaner than it was when I was before going to the toilet. But that still hasn't lifted my state of uncleanliness. Do you understand? So this is not to do, some people, and this is interesting, they might have gone to the toilet and they're now about to make wudu. And they're making wudu and they don't use soap. And people might say to the man, what kind of wash are you doing? How are you cleaning yourself? And this is because the person didn't understand that wudu is not there to clean you. Wudu is not a cleansing process. A lot of people, like a physically cleansing process. A lot of people, they go around and they joke at non-Muslims. They say that they're dirty, they don't wash their hands. We wash our hands and our faces 5 times a day and all this kind of stuff. That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. Washing with what? With water, a bit of water on, that's it. And a person, he can come and he washes his hands in alcohol, he's 20 times more clean than you are. Yeah? When you go into hospital, they haven't got soap and water, they say wash it. They got this alcohol spray because that's going to disinfect and sterilize your hands a lot more than water. So, wudu, it's not about making yourself, Febreze fresh. Yeah? Right? It's not about making yourself smell beautiful and super clean. And that's why a lot of people don't understand the concept of when people go in and they make wudu very quickly and they're not soaked. Because there's an idea that when this guy goes in and he comes out, when we were young, right? Obviously, when you're young, the last thing, and I know these two kids do it as well, right? It's something you do when you're a kid, right? Your mum and dad say, go and make wudu for salah. You're thinking, ras, wudu. Having a laugh on you. Just doing salah is hard enough mission, without telling me how to make wudu as well. So what you do, you go into the bathroom, you wash your hands a bit, do a little bit blag, and then you come out, right? Yeah. Or most of the time, just pure praying without wudu. It's a blag, isn't it? Well, there's a mission, man, right? Now, it doesn't matter what you would do from a parent's point of view, because of our culture. If they don't see you come out completely soaking, right? You ain't done wudu at all. Yeah, for them wudu is like cleansing, cleaning, drowning, basically, right? And this is something which the culture then promotes, and you got this idea. Actually, wudu has nothing to do with that. Wudu is the process, and that's why the people and the sunnah, and we'll obviously come to it in probably about a year's time when we come to the section on wudu. When we do it and demonstrate it, you're going to see why it's an act of ibadah and how you will spiritually feel your wudu. Because the focus will now that you've understood what I've just told you, it's not about the water, it's not about the soap, it's not about the amount, it's about the process. It's about the process. So when you get a little bit of water and you're there rubbing your hand, and you are watching your hand and you're saying, I have to cover this, I have to cover that, and I'm doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is a hadith, and the Prophet ﷺ said that the certain members of my companions will be seen because their extra parts of their body will be shining white because of their focus. You're focused on that as opposed to dunk full of water. Like some people just put their hands underneath the sink like that. Yeah? It's like there's two whole different parallel universes with respect to the approach to wudu. So it's important to understand that as a concept. We're lifting a state of ritual impurity, meaning that it's like suddenly I'm completely clean, I've come out of the bathroom, just come out of the shower, and someone says to me, sorry mate, you're not clean for salah. I'm as clean as it possibly can be, but I'm not clean for salah because I didn't have an intention. I didn't do it the right way. So that's why we add the word ritual to focus on the spiritual aspect and the worship aspect. Is that clear, everybody? Yeah? Right, so he says, so then a person then is able to pray because he has removed the blocking of him praying. He removed it. That is the hadath. So hadath is ritual impurity. What are the things which call ritual impurity, folks? Let's have some examples. Should we put it out there? Going to the toilet, both types, yes? So urine, yeah, urinating, defecating, yes? Okay, what else? Passing of wind, passing of excessive amounts of blood. And by the way, obviously we're going to come and discuss this in detail later, all right? That's just discussing it at a base level. Madhi, prostatic fluid, okay? This is, according to some scholars, eating camel meat, okay? So these are the things which are breaking the state of, or creating a state of what? Creating a state of hadath. Right, so now so that we understand this point of, let me just give you, subhanAllah, I was reading what Sheikh Ash-Shanqiti said, and he said something really nice, and let me just find it here. He said, because he if I'm going to be fair, he divided the chapter of hadath into a much better way than what Sheikh Uthaymeen did, if I'm going to be honest. But you know what it is, I can't find it now. But anyway, understand this. There's two types of ritual impurity, small and big. Okay? Small ritual impurity is what you've all just mentioned. Urination, defecation, passing of prostatic fluid, the passing of blood, etc., etc. Not just yet. No, and I'll explain that. I'll explain why going to sleep is not a minor hadath. Okay? So that's minor hadath. The major hadath, menstruation, yes. The period after you give birth, which is called nifas, marital relations. So this is the major. Minor hadath obligates what? Wudu. Yes, the minor ablution. Major hadath obligates ghusl, the complete bath. So that's good. All right, you've got the basic understanding of what we're talking about. But then what the and so that's the first part. But then what the author then says, and he then says, وَمَا فِي مَعْنَا, and that which is in those matters which are similar to it. Now, similar to what? Similar to what? What do you think he's referring to? What do you think he's referring to? When he says similar to it, what similar to what? Nope. The Sheikh, he says, if you look at the beginning of page 26, he goes, Ad-Damir, okay, yeah, which is the same thing actually, all right, but but if we're going to be accurate, then it's referring to the raising, the irtifa', the lifting, the getting rid of the state of ritual impurity. So the damir, the pronoun it in our English translation, it is referring back to the lifting of the state. So what does that even mean? What does that even mean? He goes, وَمَا فِي مَعْنَى إِرْتِفَاعُ الْحَدَثِ. Okay, so he gives a good example. He gives a couple of examples. He says, for example, washing of the hands when you wake up from the night time. Now, a lot of you won't know this, but it is an obligation. It is an obligation, and it is known as purification. It is known, it's not wudu, but it's known as purification. To wash one's hands as the first thing you do when you wake up and from your sleep. I don't mean like it's the first thing you just got to jump straight out of bed and wash your hands, but I mean that it is the first thing that has to be done before you do anything of any value, like any act of ibadah, obviously, or touch something or pick up something, because those hands man's yani in sleep, they do all kinds of behavior, yeah? So, the hands go here and there and don't know what's happening. So obviously it can get a bit dirty, صح? So you have to wash the hands. Now I'll give you another example. Think of that example, just keep it in the back of your head, yes? Then he goes, and the second, another example. He goes, if a person, he wants to renew his wudu. He wants to renew his wudu. So what happens here? The renewing of the wudu. This is a sunnah. Okay, this is something which is recommended. Yes? Is that lifting hadath? The first example, when we wash the hands once we've woken up, is that lifting hadath? Is it lifting a ritual state of impurity? It's not lifting a ritual state of impurity. When you make your wudu again, is that wudu, is that yani tahara, that purificatory act, is that lifting a state of hadath? No, it's not. Why is it not? Why is it not? You already did that. Very good. The first obligatory wudu that you did, that already lifted the state of hadath. Yes? So that state has gone. So this time now that you're making this wudu again, you are not lifting the state of hadath. Is that clear? Everyone agree with that? But do we still call it tahara? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. So because we still call it tahara, we have to create this second category of action. Do you understand? Because therefore now we understand it's just not irtifa al-hadath. The lads here said sleeping. When you wake up from sleep. When you wake up from sleep, do you need to make wudu? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Is it hadath al-asghar? Or do you need to do the purification, the small purification or the big purification? Small purification. Just wudu, yeah? You have to just make wudu. Are you happy with that? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Who slept on a dirty pillow?
Because you slept on a dirty pillow. What a bestial girl. Just rinse our dirty linen in the public, why not? Boom, 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 tsh. You can't script that. You can't script that, Bobs. Dirty linen, pillow. I was in there like a flash.
I think Mom's gonna kill him tonight.
Mom's gonna kill the guy, Miskeen. Dirty linen, your pillow gets changed every day. Who was it who had the hand up? Yeah.
So what about if you nod it off while you're sitting down?
I don't know. We got so much fun on the whole nodding off, sitting down flex. You're gonna love my opinions on that, believe me. Yeah, but that's miles away. That's miles away.
If you're making the act of wudu for purification and you are pure and you do wudu again, is it strictly wudu?
Yes, this is the exact question that we want to discuss, right? If you got wudu and like you made your morning wudu, the sunnah, as the companions used to do all the time, is to make wudu for every salah. This is a mustahab action, a beloved action. So they would make wudu again for salah, but for dhuhr, for example, but they're already in a state of wudu. Yeah? Is it now the second one called wudu? Of course it is. But it's called a wudu an-nafila. It's called a muzayada. It is an extra one. Zaida, no muzayada is zaida. It's an additional one. That's what it's called. It's still called wudu. It's still called purification. Sleep does not create hadath. Okay? Nothing happens. The reason that we make wudu after you wake up from sleep is because the sleep is madinnatul hadath. It is the place where hadath could occur. You understand what I'm trying to say? So we make wudu not because it is a state of hadath. We make wudu after going to sleep not because it's a state of hadath. So far you've seen now two separate categories. Urination, going to the toilet, emitting prostatic fluid, madhi, XYZ. These are clear physical things that happen and they obligate wudu. But then you've got this second category of action which something happens but nothing comes out, nothing kind of in that way happens, but you still have to do wudu, right? So one was my intentional act to make wudu again, yes. Two was me waking up from sleep, nothing happened, but because it could possibly have happened and it is more likely that things have happened, then I'm going to make wudu. Another example is, according to a number of scholars, and there are hadith that support this, but we'll come to that in its right time, when you wash a dead body, okay, the ghusl al-mayyit, when you wash a dead body, there are a number of scholars that obligate, not just wudu, some even said ghusl, okay, number of scholars. Now, Did washing the body and touching the dead body create a state of ritual impurity? No. They did. None of them said that the wudu and the ghusl is because of states of impurity. They said it is a hukam, meaning it's a direct order, as opposed to you're doing it because of this. This is important. What I'm talking about here now is to identify the underlying reason, what we call the illah, right? The sharia reason for something. When we are now doing this extra ghusl, I've now just had a bath, done a ghusl, I've just prayed, I have to now help out, wash a dead body. I'm absolutely pure and clean. And I keep my hands pure and clean, and in fact I even use gloves. But actually, let's take the gloves off because I don't want to make it more complicated. I use my hands, and we wash this dead body, and it goes off to be buried. And now our mashayikh said that you have to make wudu or ghusl. Is it because the body was impure? No. As the Prophet ﷺ said, that the believer is never impure, neither physically or neither spiritually. Okay, is the body impure? Have I done an impure action? No, no, and no. So what's going on is that it is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to the scholars, He wants me to make wudu, not because of ritual impurity, like the sleep. It's not because of ritual impurity, like the second time that I'm making my wudu. So what's in common between all these three scenarios? There's no hadith involved, yet all three of them are still called purification. Yet they are all still called tahara. Is that clear, everybody? Does that make sense? Yeah? Yeah? We're good with that? Yeah? Or like eating camel meat. Those who follow the opinion of eating camel meat, they don't say that eating it then makes you ritually impure. They are saying that you have to make wudu for every time you eat camel. The reason is in the camel meat. It's not in that you have become impure. Does that make sense? And it's important for us to differentiate the actual reasons. It's important. Okay? So that's what Shaykh basically he says. And he gives another example, which I will just I won't comment on it too much. He goes, also Sahib Salas al-Bawl, i.e. the one who is who has urinary incontinence. Now this is very interesting. Think about it. He says that when you have a urinary incontinence, he does wudu so that he can pray. Yes? True? But is this wudu lifting his state of ritual impurity? What do you think, folks? No? Why not? Because he's still passing urine. Do you understand? It can't be lifting the state of ritual impurity because he's still passing urine. So therefore, this is of that second type, يعني وفي معنى, i.e. it is of those matters which are the wudu has to be done to allow him to pray, but only to allow him to pray. It hasn't lifted the state of impurity. Is that clear, everybody? Yes.
How come before with the sleep we said that there's no physical impurity, but there's a spiritual impurity? Now he's saying there's...
Not spiritual impurity, ritual impurity.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean hadath, you mean?
Thing.
Yeah.
And in this case we're saying that there's a physical impurity, and then we're using that to imply the spiritual impurity, or the ritual one. If it's not the same way the other way around, why is it going this way? If somebody's consistent, he can't control it, so he's continually passing urine.
Yep.
So why is that causing a spiritual impurity?
Okay, good. This is two questions which have the same point, and good questions as well. What Nasir is saying is that when a person goes to sleep, you're saying he should make wudu, even though there's no proof of the physical impurity. Yep, a physical act being done to create the state of hadath. And likewise, the one who is who has urinary incontinence, he is being made to do wudu again and again, but the urine is still there. How can he be said to be lifting the spiritual, the physical, the actual impurity itself? Yes? So I would respond to that in two ways. Number one is that's why the scholars, they have to make that distinct category of those things where there is the presence of a physical thing and the wudu lifts it and gets rid of it and the action's done, i.e. urine, went to the toilet, stopped urine, made wudu, end of. And then in other extraordinary circumstances where we're not able to achieve the same kind of reality in the first part, i.e. urinary which is continuous, for example, or sleep where you don't know what's going on and it could have happened, couldn't have happened, that's why they created that second category. That's my first answer to your question. My second answer to your question is, and now I'm speaking, and very important you understand I'm speaking as myself now, all right, not as Shaykh Uthaymeen. In my opinion, and we'll come to this, when a person goes to sleep, he will not make wudu, or when he wakes up, unless he has gone proper to sleep. Okay? And there's like the world's funniest athar in human history in this. Some of the Sahaba were so cool in this issue. I remember one of the companions, and I'd want to so desperately say Abdullah ibn Umar, but I haven't read that for at least 10 years. But it was Shaykh Abdullah al-Judai who showed us the athar, and he said it's sahih, and I need to go back to it and find it again, and it will come in the right time. But he said that, like I said, I can't remember the name of the Sahabi, but it's authentic, that he was there, cross-legged, he's sitting there, and he nodding, and he has people around him, and nodding, and he's gone. That's it. And there's going, and then there's gone. So this is going. That's going, yeah. Gone is there when you're gone. Anyway, so he wakes up. And he turns around to the thingy and he goes, "You didn't hear anything, did you?" And he goes to the other one, "You didn't smell anything, did you?" He got a negative on this side. He got a negative on this side. No, we didn't hear anything. No, I didn't smell anything. He goes, "Khalas," then he stood up and he prayed. Okay? Meaning, so why is it that sleep is a reason? And we're getting deep into fiqh now, alright? This is like usul. It is madhinnat al-hadath, the amount of speculation, the likelihood of you doing passing wind whilst you're asleep is huge. Anyone who's been camping with the brothers, a'udhu billah. What a mission. Oh yeah. That's why it's always good to go to sleep quick, Otherwise, that's it. Once you delay your sleep and let the others go to sleep, it's finished. You're going to hear things that you wish you never heard in your life. And all those great opinions you had about your friends, they're going to disappear like that. You know what I'm saying? So, when you go to sleep proper, it's all over for you. Alright. And it's all over for that person. But, as we can see from so many of the Sahaba, those who are sitting cross-legged, and therefore physiologically, it's a lot more difficult to pass wind. Some anal shrinkflex going on there, I don't know. Doctor, I'm sure you can give me some facts there, but clearly it's a lot more difficult to pass wind or whatever. I can't speak from personal experience, you know what I'm saying? Yeah? Because as Patans, we take that whole passing wind flex very seriously. Yeah, you guys all laugh and joke, yeah? You do that. Because we don't laugh and joke about passing wind. We kill people on passing wind. Yeah? Some man's come to me and says, "You pass wind," the guy's dead. Right, so what I'm saying is that therefore sitting cross-legged is the safest position, even if you go to sleep proper, to pass wind. Now, the action and the statement of the companion is a proof of what he realizes is the issue is sleep. For him, sleep means nothing. For him, the issue is whether you broke your wudu or not via passing wind, urinating, X, Y, Z, whatever. If that didn't happen, then sleep for him is like any other day. It's like walking in the street. Same thing. Do you understand the point there, folks? Yeah? So I just want you to understand that, and also to explain the issue of incontinence. In my opinion, and this is of course the Maliki opinion, I've written a detailed paper on this, and you can find it on my old blog or new blog or whatever it is. But anyway, you just type in something like urinary incontinence and irregular vaginal bleeding and so on. There's a detailed paper that I put together with Sheikh Ihlan, and in that I don't consider the making of wudu to have any actual physical ruling. In exact response to your question. And that was the same with Imam Malik. Although of course Abu Hanifa, Ahmed, Shafi'i, they said you must do the wudu, because they do see it as something that has to be a hadath that has to be lifted in some fashion. Anyway, we've gone into too much detail. Everyone's now monged out thinking what then happened there. Right, so what should we say now? It's been 1 hour. Oh, it's been more than an hour.
1 hour and 90 minutes.
Okay, it's been a while. Okay, so folks, a couple of things. What we'll do now, I think we'll close it there with respect to actual text. What we'll do is that we'll take some questions. Now, online, this is now the first week now we're starting that up. So you would have seen that the online now, from now on, it will be open and your comments will be there, and don't send any questions in during the lesson. You can write what you want, and you can cuss Shazad, and you can make good remarks and things like that I can enjoy reading afterwards, and asking for Bobby Jalani's hand in marriage and things like that. All right, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no problem. But no questions. Then when the lesson finishes, then you put forward your questions. And the way you do it is that you put question in capitals and then colon, and then you have your question after it, not in capitals. All right? I don't like capitals, but I don't mind the question being in capitals. And then the team there will select some of the questions and we will take them a thingy. As for the live audience, then we'll just take questions from here, inshallah. Okay, so let's take some questions. Yeah. By the way, if I forget to say the question out, please remind me, because I do need to repeat the question. Yeah. So the brother is asking, is it true that the companions would solidify themselves by tying their waist wrapper? There's a way of doing this, either using their ghutra, either using an additional cloth, or using already the izar, and wrapping their legs round into a solid cross-leg position, and then they would go to sleep, and then they would wake up and they would not make wudu. And the answer is yes, that is authentically reported from a number of the companions, which is why I mentioned it. Is this the opinion of any of the four fuqaha, of the four imams? Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi, Ahmed? Absolutely not. Okay? And this is why fiqh is so much bigger than what you think it is. And that's why if you go back to now the first lessons that I said, fiqh doesn't trap me like it traps people, and I don't feel suffocated into madhahib and got to stick to this, got to stick to that. It's madhahib are a means to an end. And the scholars, you got to understand that Imam Malik is, and Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam, all of them, they're very much aware of the companions that did that. But they've got to cater not for some scholars who are able to work these things out individually. They've got to cater for the millions, for the masses. They've got to be able to produce reproducible results that can be taught and spread, that keep people in a safe zone as opposed to a difficult zone. Let me give you an example. That companion that we just said, and I will confirm his name for you, but the reason I didn't confirm his name is because we were not in the right section. I just thought I'd mention it before it's time. But he did ask the question. He by himself doesn't know what happened in the sleep. He did ask the question. Now, can an imam teach his students that, okay, you can go to a sleep, but that has to be a sleep that has to have people around you, and you have to ask them, and each time ask them whether you passed wind or not, yeah? Or whether they smelt something or not, each time, yeah? That's not our way, man. That's not our culture. You know what I'm saying? That's dirty, isn't it? You don't talk about things like that, you know? I was listening to Carl Pilkington earlier on today. He's my big sheikh, he is, right? What a legend, Yara. Carl Pilkington, he goes to China. Wallahi, he says a statement, I'm going to find it, it's all over Facebook tomorrow, inshallah. He goes, he's with Warwick, you know the little dwarf miskin, yeah?
Yeah.
So they've gone abroad and they've gone to China. So he's on the ship. And so he comes to the toilets. You know the toilets in China, for some reason, I've never been, I don't know if it's true or not, but they don't even have doors. Number one, actually, the side panels is like about that high, not like, not above you, not like a proper toilet, a proper wall. It's there, meaning if you stand up, you can see the guy, right? So it's only that high, like I don't even know what to describe it as, like a hurdle height. Number one. Number two, they have no doors, so it's completely open, yani. So Pilko, he goes up to him, he goes, what the hell is this? He goes, what is this? He goes, how can someone have a dump in this area without being seen everywhere and whatnot? And as he's giving a commentary, he goes, Warwick, he goes, Ricky, he goes, listen, he goes, I don't mind, because he's a bit, Gora racist bit kind of, yeah? He goes, I don't mind other people's cultures, I love cultures. I can handle all their crazy stuff. I can handle their praying. He goes, I can handle their praying. He goes, what people don't have a dump with the door open? Well, when I thought of that statement, I thought, Wallahi, spoke the truth there. You know, our prayer, Wallahi, when you think about it, even the most, biggest non-religious atheist dog of the earth, yeah, he will see that the prayer is natural. Bowing and prostrating and humility and regularity and early morning and late night, all the key aspects of the salah are completely universal. There's nothing ajib. Nothing that you'd go, what's all that? If you just have a little bit of a chance, you can say, but brother, you cannot explain going out and having a dump with an open door. You can't. You know what I'm saying? Why did I say that? What were we talking about?
We watched it.
Oh, talking about passing wind and this and that. So, yes, Allah khair, Allah khair. What's happening? Astaghfirullah, you see, you made me start talking about dirty things and the ceiling's about to fall down. Ah, Sheikh?
After wuzu offering of 2 rak'ah.
Yes. That is a sunnah, the 2 rak'ah for wudu, the action of Bilal, and we're going to come to that in its right time. Probably about 2 years, I think. It's in the chapter of supererogatory prayers, voluntary prayers. We'll get there, inshallah. Okay, online?
One question from
Yep.
online.
Yep.
Is it acceptable to use alcohol, gels, etc. as a method of cleaning one's hand? And
Next
also,
week. Yep.
Okay, added to that is alcohol itself considered pure or impure, even if it's not consumed, for example, if it touches clothing?
Again, next week. 2 questions which are going to be covered next week.
You began talking about teaching styles. What was the teaching style of the other 2 imams of the madhab?
Well, to be honest, I don't think that I don't think it was anything extraordinary. So it would probably be normal, whatever normal is, but it wasn't so relaxed as Abu Hanifa. Abu Hanifa is crazy relaxed. They're arguing, debating, arguing. They look at each other like equals. You know, if you saw me debating with people will start to get a bit uncomfortable, right? They say, who the heck is this guy discussing with him like that, speaking? You know what I'm trying to say? That's how imagine now doing that with Abu Hanifa. People would freak out, right? So therefore, that's why it's noted in history, because it looked freaked out. And that's why they got the names as Ashab. And Malik, that's very well known. Malik used to get very upset. You know, people writing things down, he even used to get upset. And this is from many of the Salaf, they used to get upset that when people write down, they would say, Yani, you have not earned this. How dare you write and go away with this? This is like, well, you've written down in the pages like my years and years and years of thought and reflection and work. You didn't earn this. You didn't learn it. You didn't, go through No, they were super strict. Had this sanctity for knowledge, yani. So that's a bit kind of hardcore, and that's why it's remembered. I think Ahmad Shafi was just chilling, yani. Somewhere in the middle.
Was there a link between that approach to teaching and the range of opinions you might have in a particular madhab? Because, for example, for Imam Abu Hanifa, there might be more questioning.
Yeah, and I think it's a very good point. I think it's very, very true. Definitely in the Hanafi madhab, very hypothetical, crazy ideas being discussed, whatever. Once you start opening things up, like the worst nightmare for a teacher is what? If you don't know your stuff, people start asking too much, yani. You know what I'm saying? Right? So if you start talking about this and I haven't read it, I haven't revised it, I'm going to look an idiot, yeah? The guy doesn't know anything. Sah? But if you're at the top level, top game, and you're saying, yalla boys, say what you want, throw it at me, let's debate, you know that guy's on another level. You see what I'm trying to say? And that's going to inspire them. They're going to keep asking more. I'm going to answer correctly each time. That's going to inspire more. And that's what the Hanafi madhab is. This next level of crazy opinions and hypothetical issues. It's incredible. That madhab is incredible. Whereas the Medinan one, a lot more knowledgeable people around. Even Abu Hanifa, if this riwayah is sahih, and I have some doubt about it, but in some of the books of tariq in history, when Abu Hanifa went to go and see Imam Malik, all right, and this dialogue has been recorded, I've got some doubts about its authenticity, but Imam Malik said to him, listen man, I'm very respectful of your maqam, but you guys are going way out there, yani, talking about this, discussing that, whatever. Abu Hanifa told him straight. He goes, we don't have that kind of luxury that you have, of all people upon sunnah, all this kind of solidification of the deen, riwayat, whatever. We got Shia, we got Qadariya, Rafida, Flan, this, that, killing, that, whatever, Baqwas, this, that. They come and killed the Prophet's grandson, they killed this, We can't trust no one, do anything. We've got to do with our own thing. People brings us Quran, we don't know. People bring us hadith, they're making them up every day. You know what I'm trying to say? We have to start thinking upon and that's why it was called Ashab al-Ra'i. We have to really, really focus on this mind, yani, and use. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Just double checking, you mentioned before that when you wash your hands, it's an obligation. Does that mean if you don't do it, it's simple?
So what I will say is that according to what Sheikh Uthaymeen, his position, it is an obligation. I don't want to give my opinion. I will explain my opinion upon this in the chapter of wudu. Okay? The fact of the matter is that this is a semantic point. Because a person is going to have to make wudu to pray. Sah? And it is an obligation from wudu to wash your hands. And so it gets covered anyway. But that's not good enough for the student of knowledge. It's good enough for the public for me to say that. But for us, we're going to have to break that down properly. We have to give it its haqq. Yani. Yeah? Right. Yeah.
You mentioned that camel meat breaks the wudu. What's the reason?
We're going to come to that.
Okay.
Yep. And it's, of course, it's a minority opinion. In fact, even the Hanabila have almost pushed it out of their own madhab. And they're the only madhab, of course. Yeah.
In the example you gave of the Sahaba, you said he asked his companions about breaking wind after he woke up. Now, if he woke up, he must, by definition, have been asleep in the first place.
Absolutely.
So does that mean Islamically there are different definitions of what constitutes sleep?
Oh, of course.
So is that then,
Yeah. So what Dr. Shazad is asking, he's saying that clearly when this guy was asleep and then he's asked him after he's woken up, that means he was proper asleep. Then, does that mean there's a different types of sleep? Yes, there are. We're going to discuss that in detail. The different types of sleep, what denotes proper sleep, what's light sleep, why do some scholars accept a basic form of sleep? And why do some of the scholars say that any sleep that involves a surface is proper sleep, even if it's for a couple of seconds? The same ruling is applied to this as going into a tempura, Shaz? What is it? What's the 10,000 pound mattress that you have at home? Okay, the one that we wish that we had. What's it called? Tempura.
Sleep on the floor.
Tempest. Temper mattress. If you jump into your temper mattress, the same hukam is upon that as me going to sleep for 5 minutes on the wall. Is that fair? Huh? So we have to look at what they're we got to criticize these opinions and understand what is the issue of sleep. Is nodding sleep in khutbah? I'm telling you now. You can see why I follow. There's a question. You know why I follow that opinion of Sahabi, because I can't remember the last time I went to Jummah and didn't go sleep. I mean, I shouldn't say that publicly, because that's not good. But I just do. That's not a reflection upon the khatib. La hasha lillah, no, at all. At all. No. It's just room, people, warm. Just I go. I'm gone. But I'm always checking with my boys around me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm checking. What are you on about?
People next to you.
You have to, isn't it? Yes.
Is it okay to choose certain things that suit yourself as a person?
You mean from a fiqh point of view? You mean like rulings, you mean? Yeah. So the brother's asking a question, which in fairness we answered in the first 2 lessons. And you can find the transcripts on the forums, which the brothers will explain to you how to achieve. The brother's asking, is it permissible for us just to choose what we like with respect to opinions? And the answer, of course, is no, it's not. And that's the reason we have teachers, and it's obligation upon the people who don't know to ask their teacher. Now, that teacher will most of the time go back to one of the 4 imams, practically speaking, historically speaking. But the obligation, the actual obligation upon any lay Muslim is to ask a person of knowledge who understands the issue and can teach them. I'm talking even amongst the 4 imams. It's not permissible for the one who is not qualified to be jumping from here to there by himself. He has to use a teacher, and if the teacher does that for him, then he takes the responsibility. You're free of that. Yep. Because of course the danger is very clear. You're going to start to choose that which is suiting you, and therefore you're imposing your desires upon Islam as opposed to allowing Islam to control your desires. Yeah? Yes.
What is opinion?
Anyone who needs to go, once we've gone after 15 minutes of questions, this is just that you understand the rules, okay? Once after 15 minutes, you have the permission to leave, okay? Because that's not fair from anyone, all right? After questions, if I hang around, I'm hanging around because you all know why I'm hanging around. All right? You know why I'm hanging around, sah? Because? Exactly. Match of the day is at 11:05 tonight, yeah? I got donkey hours left. Johnny English, yeah, all right. 11:05. Sah? Yeah? So I can go and we can do questions till the cows come home. And so we'll carry on with that, and the sisters of course would leave first, and then the brothers. Let's not forget that. What was that the question? Yes.
What is the opinion if somebody was to laugh during the salat prayer?
So you know what we're going to do? We're going to try and avoid dealing with questions that are not part of the class text. Because if we open it to every question, then it's gonna go all. So it's gonna be disaster. But anyway, anyone who laughs, he breaks the prayer. Okay, for all four madhahib. Anyone who laughs in prayer, and laughing is two things: it's the display of the teeth and it's a sound. Okay, these are the two conditions or the two key characteristics according to the majority. All right, yeah.
Is it true that for wudu changing favorites, nothing like that, they have to be?
We're gonna come to that. Are we done online? Any more questions?
There's one interesting question came up from a sister. She asked, she's relatively new to Islam, I don't think that makes a difference anyway, but she lives amongst a family, a practicing kind of family, different opinions and so on. And she's asking, does she have to adopt the opinion of her husband or something like that, or do they select a mutual teacher?
So with respect to how they follow fiqh and so on and so forth. No, the sister is asking that does she have to follow the teacher of her husband, or is she obliged to follow the fiqh of the family? And the answer is no. Right? Technically speaking, no. She's not obliged to follow anyone at any time. But the technical answer is not always the best answer. Practically, of course, it makes sense, especially if you're new and you're going to go out and try to hunt around for opinions and find a teacher. You might not be able to, right? So if you have access through your husband to teachers and a madhab, then it just makes sense to go. But are you obligated? No. If you find an avenue where you're getting quality knowledge regularly and so on and so forth, then that's allowed. That's absolutely allowed for you to do that. Just practically speaking, it's not easy. That's all.
Just going back to the point you mentioned earlier on about the companion who was asleep and then when you woke.
I knew I shouldn't have mentioned that.
But say, for example, you are conscious in that.
Yes.
And you think you may have broken wind, but you can't smell anything, you
Yep.
heard nothing.
Yep.
But consciously you think you may have.
Yep.
Does that break your wudu?
Does it break your wudu or not is a side thing. All four imams, because of what you just said, obligate making wudu after waking up.
So then the second question.
That's why they said it.
Okay, so say for example in a situation where somebody may have irritable bowel.
Yes.
And especially if you're saying a long salah like Tarawih prayer or something
Yes.
like that. And the brother's been 20 times to do wudu.
Yes.
So each time does that happen? Does he have
With irritable bowel syndrome,
yes, say a medical condition like irritable
right.
bowel.
No. All four imams only obligate one. The three imams, Abu Hanifa, Ahmed, and Shafi'i, they say that you make the wudu for each prayer time, not the prayers. Yes. Read the paper, brother. Read the paper. We're not in that section, and it's a very detailed thing. I've written in on it. Malik says you don't need to make the wudu at all. It doesn't matter what's going on, whether he's passing wind or passing water or incontinent. It's okay. Anyone else? Uthman? Okay, so just want to remind everyone here, obviously this is our local, this class is supported by First Ethical, mashallah, and by Al-Maghrib. Al-Maghrib class not this weekend, but the weekend after, the weekend after that, I beg your pardon, is going to be Tafsir Surah Al-Kahf, and I highly, highly recommend it, Sheikh Ahsan Hanif. And this class, I think, I could be wrong, but I think he has the highest feedback amongst all the classes. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty confident that it has the highest feedback in terms of quality and content. And of course, Sheikh Ahsan is Hafidh al-Quran, is well known. So that's at Mary Seacole, and Echoes of a Cave it's called. So sign up at almaghrib.org. Yep, or on their Facebook. We're good there, folks? Yeah? Jazakumullah khair. Thank you for attending. See you guys next week, inshallah. Same place, same time. Don't believe the hype or the rumors.
Where are you going?
Jazakumullah khair. Sisters first, please. If the brothers just give us a few minutes and let the sisters leave. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfiruka Allahumma wa atubu ilayk.